This is my opinion, of course, but I think this is going to be a good episode to come back to for most people that would like to introduce someone new to this topic of the old world, or a simple reminder of what we have been told is the truth versus what is really going on in front of our faces. Now, I have been seeing a few people across multiple platforms that haven't really looked into this topic, that are saying that just because we have done this before and can see the buildings here in front of us, this automatically means that we are able to construct these buildings today if we wanted to, even though we never do and never will. We have all the tools and make mistakes all the time. Our buildings and bridges fall apart after 100 years, but the ones from the 1800s and much longer before that were built with perfection and not one flaw, thrown together in less than a year, without blinking an eye. It was simple. Perfect stonework, never a mistake. Remember, in 2023, we use actual construction companies. We have the tools. Not slaves, not prisoners, not horses and wagons. We are supposed to be so much better than the people of the 1800s. This is what they tell us. This is the mainstream narrative. Evolution, of course. But we have proven time and time again that the people from the 1800s built Capitol buildings over and over and over in less than a year. Basilicas, cathedrals, all over the world. They get burned to the ground by a fire. And then a few short months later, the old one is all cleaned up and a new one is there forever. They could knock out entire towns in a few months, entire world's fairs. They supposedly were able to build these buildings so fast, so well, with untrained workers, people that have never constructed anything before, prisoners, people that went to jail for any reason at all. They could all build cathedrals in every country, in every town, in every century, except for this one that we're in today. They built so many of them and so fast that they could just afford to knock them all down when they were done. This is what we're told, of course. In my opinion, none of this happened. In my opinion, these buildings are from the previous civilization, and our entire history timeline is a complete fabrication. And this is proven time and time again. And the fire story gives it all away, every time. Let's expose the lies even further. Welcome to episode 41 of my lunch break. I hope you're all having a great day, and if you're new, welcome. And I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com. You can check out his app. I'll put the link in the description, and you can use my referral code, MLB. The app is awesome. It shows a lot of videos that are really hard to find. They've got them all in great playlists. He also has my lunch break on the homeschool section of the app, which is really cool. Thank you for that. Thank you to Rebecca Kay, Don Gaston, Jason Brunson, Maddie Kevs, Christopher Arietta, Millicent, The Lady Lacey Show, Edwin Johnson, Home Guard Goes Hard, David and Sherry Ferguson, and Nazir Premier. You guys are all awesome and helping this channel out a lot. Here we are in Texas, more specifically, 414 St. Joseph Street, Gonzales, Texas. And why are we here? Well, they have the Gonzales County Courthouse. And in my opinion, the narrative is lying. Are we all ready? Here we go. The contract was awarded to Furman Morin on June 26, 1894. But wait, there's something weird going on here. We're told that this wasn't the first courthouse on this site. This is the second building to serve as the county courthouse. Well, what do you mean this wasn't the first one? What happened to the first one? The first Gonzales County Courthouse burned down on December 3rd, 1893. Do you notice how fast they tried to throw that in there? It was like they thought we wouldn't notice or something. Of course we will. This is what we do. Look at how they worded it, too. They didn't even say the first building or the first courthouse. They just quickly say the first burned on December 3rd, 1893. And they just want to move on like nothing happened. So we get the nod. Another fire story. Very interesting. And also the clear giveaway that this is a building from the past civilization. In my opinion, and a reminder that there was never a fire here on this site. This is simply a nod to their group that this building is from the old world. Now, let's continue shredding this nonsense apart. We are told that the second county courthouse was completed on April of 1896. The contract was awarded in June of 1894. They get their superintendent for the construction in 1895. And then in April of 1896, the building is done. And this all happens in basically 2 years after the first one burned down. And it's weird, because it takes almost as much time to find the superintendent as it does to actually build the entire building, and it lasts forever. So let's get this straight. They are telling us that December 1893, the first one is in flames, and we have no idea who built that one, or anything about it, and don't ask any questions about that one. And then 6 months later, it's gone, and all cleaned up by June of 1894, and the contract is ready to roll. And from June 1894, we wait until some point in time in 1895, so at least 6 months, but could have been 18 months. Since they don't share the information, we have to speculate. So let's meet in the middle at 12 months to find a construction guy. And then he knocks this thing out somehow by April of 1896. Who believes that he did this in less than a year? How many people worked for him? It's just weird that they tell us that he was just an owner of a quarry that had limestone in it. Now all of a sudden, he is a construction superintendent guy that builds massive courthouses in a year. Wow, the 1800s were incredible. You could truly be anything you want back then. Amazing. And a total joke of a story. This is absolute insanity that this kind of stuff is what we are supposed to believe actually happened. We all understand that in order to build a massive courthouse, you would need to get all the materials there. We would need to have a proper amount of construction workers that are properly trained. This quarry owner can't just go build it himself. We would need the proper equipment. Incredible architecture. The planning had to be perfect. Using the specs that they give us on this courthouse, I asked Chat GPT a question, and the answer was eye-opening. I asked hypothetically, how long would it take to build a courthouse in 1895? And how many men would you need? I asked if it could give me a breakdown of how much material would be needed, and also include other details that are important in constructing a courthouse that covers 2.7 acres. I explained that it is a building in a Romanesque revival style, with eclectic details, meaning it covers other types of architecture designs, and that it will be built with red brick and white limestone trim. Now these are the specs that we are given from the mainstream narrative. This is what they tell us. They tell us this information because they have to. The thing is literally sitting here looking right at us. For anyone that wants to go look at it, you can walk right up to it and see it. Or you can see a picture of it as we are right now. So let's see what this AI tells us. We are told that constructing a courthouse in 1895, in the specs that they stated, would have been a significant undertaking. And here is the breakdown. Just the design and planning would have taken pretty much a year. Just because it's 1895, you still need permits and approvals. This happened in 1895. This isn't cavemen days, where you just get to build massive buildings and not tell anyone about it. So the fact that they're ignoring this part of the story over and over is crazy. This would have taken another couple months. So then we move on to the materials. We are told that the amount of red brick needed would depend on the design and size of the courthouse. Courthouses that cover 2.7 acres could use hundreds of thousands to millions of bricks. This is an unbelievable amount of material just for bricks alone. The process in getting these materials to the site is not easy. So then the white limestone trim. 100,000 cubic feet of limestone. The wood for interior elements, including flooring, stairs, and doors. A substantial amount of wood would be required. Then we will need steel and glass, and not just any glass. They have to be perfect for windows, in the Romanesque revival style. Now, of course, the best part, in my opinion, because they don't even mention any people that help this quarry owner guy. The labor, the number of workers needed would vary. But constructing such a massive courthouse might require hundreds of laborers. Hundreds? And not a mention of one in this story? And this isn't even to build it in a year. This is just saying to build it in a respectable timeline. So to build it in a year, there had to be way more than hundreds of workers, like we're told. Amazing. Okay, you would need bricklayers, carpenters, masons. Oh, did I say that? Steelworkers, and general laborers. When we are told that slaves and prisoners built these places in a year, just remember this and ask yourself if you think this is true or not. Now we have the construction time. Given the scale and complexity, construction could take several years, perhaps 3 to 5 years. The Romanesque revival style, with its ornate details, would require careful craftsmanship, which takes time. So these workers had to have been trained and been good at it, especially finishing it in a year. This is insane. How were these workers not world renowned? Wouldn't there be statues of them? They probably could have made the statues themselves in their backyards in a couple of days since they were so good at it. And now, of course, we have the ridiculous part of the transportation. Transporting materials to the construction site. And before we get into this, I want to mention this, that they don't mention this in the story. And I think they don't on purpose because it is so insane. Here we go. Transporting materials to the construction site would require horses, wagons, and likely a nearby source of limestone. Okay, so the horses and wagons moved the 100,000 cubic feet of limestone from the quarry. What a joke. Now they will need tools, of course. You can't do this without tools. So here's the tools and equipment section. Tools of the time would include hammers, chisels, saws, cranes, and various other hand tools. Just hammering and chiseling away in 1895 to 1896 with their horses and wagons. The fact that they tell us these buildings go up all over the world in a year is such a lie, in my opinion. You'd need a source of water for mixing mortar, and for the workers. If it's a large project, which this one definitely is, you might even need on-site housing for the workers, which they don't have on-site housing for the workers. Have you ever seen a narrative say this? No. They ignore the actual logistics in every narrative. You need people to build these places, and people need things, such as housing, food, water. This is common sense, yet never mentioned. Stone carvers and artisans would be required for this work. What was their names? Did the quarry owner do that himself? No. Which company had pro stone carvers and artisans? And of course, supervision. You'd need a skilled supervisor and project managers to ensure the work proceeds smoothly and to quality standards. And this is literally the only part that we are given. The only part we are given is the person that should be watching over all of the things that actually have to happen. I'm going to put this in sports terms. They're basically telling us the name of the coach for the Patriots, and then forgetting to tell us all about Tom Brady, or the coach's name of the Lakers and the Bulls, and not saying anything about Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan, or Dennis Rodman. All we get is Phil Jackson and Frank Vogel. This is insane. This is not working anymore. So I asked it to be more specific with the timeline. I said, so in all, how long would this all take? It responded with this. Given the complexity and scale of constructing a courthouse, covering 2.7 acres in the Romanesque Revival style, with red brick and white limestone trim, in 1895, the entire process could take 1 year to just design and plan it. Another several months to permitting and approvals, several more months to a year for the materials, and 3 to 5 years to build the building. So in total, it mathematically and logistically should take anywhere from 4.5 years to 7.5 years. This is unbelievable, considering so many times we are told that a building goes down in a fire and then another one is built in a few months. This kind of brushing it off with a few months kind of thing isn't working anymore. And I don't want to end the episode yet. I want to go even deeper and even more specific. So I asked, how many horses would they need for this project? And here we go. The horses would be needed for 6 major things in this project in 1895. Transporting, milling and lifting, general labor, site grading and excavation, water and power, cranes and heavy lifting, and getting the cranes there to the site, of course. This would take 20 to 30 horses to finish the project in 4.5 to 7.5 years, not 1 year. So we all understand. They would need way more than 30 horses. And we all understand that horses need water. Remember, this is for 30 horses for possibly 7.5 years. I want to make that point extremely clear. This is not the 1 year timeline that we're told. Now here we go. Let's absolutely destroy the narrative and end it forever. That any building anywhere in the world, like this one, could not be simply built in a year and just brushed off with zero explanation. How much water would the horses actually need? This is a key point that cannot be ignored, like it is in the mainstream narrative. A typical horse would drink anywhere from 5 to 15 gallons of water per day for a project like this. This is to properly keep the horses hydrated, or they will die, especially in Texas, where it's extremely hot in the summer months. For only 30 horses, you would need 300 gallons of water per day. This is only 10 horses over 7.5 years. Where is all this water coming from? Why is this massive point ignored? The point alone proves that this project did not happen in a year. This is such a horrible slip-up for the narrative. And it is the most important part of the logistic project that needs to be taken care of. Without the water supply for the main transportation for the project, none of this happens anywhere in the world in the 1800s. From this point on, a narrative that tells us that they built a building in a year in the 1800s without explaining the massive supply of water for the horses should be looked at as a lie. Incredible. This is a major failure by the narrator, a massive flaw that now opens the floodgates. This narrative is not possible. Did they think that we would never question this? And now we know that this type of construction is not even close to possible. We are waking up to the nonsense. We are educating each other, building a group of people that are not just accepting lies and actually questioning. We are looking into things, and the more we look, the easier it gets. The more answers we find, and the more truth comes through. And the more that we know, the harder and harder it is to lie to us. Once you know the truth, like I always say, you don't go back to not knowing. You are now awake, and you will take this information with you and apply it to the next story, where they will tell you that a building was built in a year by a quarry owner that never built anything before and never again in his entire life. And we have a bonus today as a thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. But before we do this, I'm going to make this extremely clear. I do not have a problem with any group, race, religion, or any of that. These narratives cover all races, religions, and agendas. So now that we're clear on that, we have the Yeshiva University High School. This is a modern Orthodox Jewish day school located on 2540 Amsterdam Avenue, New York, New York. It only has 300 students aged 14 to 18. Only boys are allowed in this school. For anyone that has not seen episode 35, you may want to check that one out after this, so you fully understand the legal definition of the word founded. Let's pretend that we constructed an incredible building that looks just like this one. Would we say that we found it, or would we say that we built it? Honestly, it's as simple as that. We do not say that we founded our houses. This is ridiculous and incredible that the word founded has been thought of as built for so long. The founding fathers, they found a lot of stuff that they didn't build. Telling you is a rule for some reason. Being able to tell you something and you not understand what you're saying is still you accepting that you're being told something. This is a classic spell that is cast. It is a deception tactic. The word spelling is literally spell casting. Founded is not constructed or built. All right, let's get back to this school. What do we see here in the alumni section? We haven't found more people that found a bunch of stuff, have we? Actually, we found 6 people that seem to be good at finding things, all having something to do with this building that was found. Now, the individual who found this building is surely a great guy who wouldn't steal anything or say that a building that he finds is his, or would he? The TA, as it originally was called, was founded in 1916 by Rabbi Dr. Bernard Revel. Bernard Revel? Who is this guy? Oh, he was a great guy that was only arrested and imprisoned in Russia and then immigrated over to the United States to find this building. While in America, he struggled though. Oh wait, no. He married right into a rich family in 1909. All right, so enough about this guy. I think we get the point. And we have this section of the story, of course. Interesting, okay. February 9th of this current year, 2023. Okay, right, okay. Giving 1.5 million to this school, all right. And we all know about renovations, how these buildings don't need to be renovated. This is normally a way to destroy the old world. But let's check this auditorium out. Interesting. What do you think? Does this need renovation? Looks pretty incredible to me. The project is going to include the restoration of stained glass windows and ceiling. What is wrong with the windows and the ceiling? We have eyes to see. Do we need someone else to tell us that the ceiling and the glass look awesome and should be left alone? And what is this? Look at that architecture. The stonework on this place is so detailed and precise. Whoever did this was unbelievable at their job. How is this individual or group or construction team? How are they unknown to us? And it was supposedly built within the last 100 years. So we should definitely know who did this. That fact alone should get alarms ringing. If they could really build this place, you would have to ask yourself, why would they write the name of the whole building So pathetic. That alone should be a major red flag. For anyone that is on the fence, this is crazy. Look at how terrible that is. It is totally put on the building by our civilization, not the ones that built the building. And they do it again here. This is laughable stuff. It looks like they just put a sticker on the stone and called it a day. So here is the outside where the stained glass is going to be destroyed and redone by our advanced civilization. It is clear that these colors and this pattern is meaningful, and we simply do not understand it. It's not damaged, it's not old, it doesn't need our help. So here is the building that we are talking about. This is a photo from 1928, and I'm guessing 1928, even though it only says 28. And look at these windows, clearly being covered up by the sidewalk, more and more as we go from left to right. Very interesting. We have shown this kind of window covering before, and it shows that this building is definitely much bigger than we can see with our eyes. And who really knows what the date of this place is? That's someone's handwriting on the picture. I could have easily wrote that for all we know. I didn't, but my point is that it's just crazy the things that we just blindly accept, just because we are told that it's true by someone or a group that has awarded themselves the leader. This picture could be from the past civilization for all we know, and our finders found their camera. Now here on the Yeshiva University website, under this founder Bernard guy's bio, they tell us that in 1928, they were supposedly granted permission to build this building that we are looking at. 1928, remember, the institution's charter was amended to authorize the granting of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Science degrees. Now, because they are allowed to give out degrees, they were now going to construct their main building. That same year, in 1928, like we talked about, the building was done, as shown in the picture from November 26, 1928. So we are now being told that this building was constructed in less than 11 months. Whoa. Anyone else see these pictures? A year? 1 year to build all of this. There are massive alarms going off in this narrative. Look at the stonework alone. Less than a year? From start to finish. Which construction company was used? How many men? Where did they get the materials from? Which architect did they use? We have proven through AI Chat GPT that this is not possible to construct in a year. Not even close. There are so many major factors that are just brushed under the rug here in this crazy story that would need to be explained, that at this point, in my opinion, it's honestly impossible for it to be true. That ceiling alone should be questioned. This auditorium was just thrown together in a few months and still had plenty of time for the rest of the building in 11 months. It's just incredible stuff. I hope you all enjoyed this longer episode. I'm very thankful that you are all enjoying these episodes. I really enjoy sharing my research with you all. I enjoy reading the comments and seeing this topic and research spread to more and more new people every day.
Don't trust what you see. Don't listen to your senses. Trust what you are told.
Whoa.